through the lights, cameras in action, through the lights, cameras in action, through the lights, cameras in action, glamour, glitters, and gold.
Domination, baby. That I know that everybody want to hear, because I know I've been waiting to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
F the BS. Forget the belief system.
So, I'm gonna get with L Poetry Workshop. So, I have a format that I like to run with people. If you happen to have pen and or paper with you, or nearby, I will give you a minute to get them in front of you and inspire you to inspire yourselves. Bom, 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 bom. Think a little something, something whilst you find your bits. Just to let you know who you're dealing with, you know. Assert my primacy. After 3 days in the cave, we push boulders aside like Jesus. Have faith, believe us. Have faith, believe us. After 3 days in the cave, we push boulders aside like Jesus. Have faith, believe us. The ocean parts where magic staff like Moses. Feel the sand between your toes, witness flows, kids. We move the mountain to us like the prophet, inshallah. Quantum paradoxes, Allah's in everything's in Allah. We come down from mountaintop meditation with wisdom and vibration, like Abraham and magic wands to make a man. Just take my hand, witcher, things get ugly as sin, or pretty as a picture, or blessed as redemption. When we manifest scripture in meditation, emanating love vibrations, remembering days when we read Revelations. Violet flame of transmutation surrounds me, defending me, coursing through my veins, infinite pure source energy, the center, the void, the 0 point energy, the hero's point of no return, beyond the crucible to burn. Do we choose a pill to learn or remain blissfully unaware? Ignorance is bliss, but we can face it without fear and follow our bliss, accepting miracles, the hair for fortune or glory. I've got a few stories to share, yeah. I like peace and I'd like more, and you don't want to find out if I like war. Sometimes to maintain peace, stay ready for the opposite. We sidestep with diplomacy, but not repression. Got a spit, expression, not repression, to transcend the depression. From countless questions to counting blessings. Sometimes to maintain peace, stay ready for the opposite. We sidestep with diplomacy, but not repression. Got a spit, expression, not repression, to transcend the depression. From countless questions to counting blessings. And for those with me through good and bad times and middle, let's get back to kickbacks, booty wriggles, cuddles and giggles. Could it be it was all so simple? Amethyst crystal, lyrical vividness used to be cannabis bliss. For this mystical wizard, this visual like manga, make your yoga ranga, then test the stamina, you little wank. Can't hang with the orangutan, got my mans, not just shotters, proper dapper dance, not just rappers and rap fans, mans in rock bands, not polluting my chakras. By chatting with phonies, I chat to my homies about ayahuasca ceremonies, and MP3 spread my name all over the planet, Papa Don, from Israel to Amsterdam, it where they got the proper bonds. I'm sorry, I tend to digress, but I stress when you hear my words, at least both you and I bless, cause I get to express, plus you get the express train of thought, the next stop, the left side of my brain. I'm trying again to reach enlightenment, time gonna change, it's only when I'm writing I'm sane. Alrighty then, have we got our pens and papers? Shall we begin? So I would like you to draw 3 smiley faces on the top of your paper, like so. 1 smiley face, 1 sad face, and 1 kind of straight line for its... where are we? That makes sense. Does that make sense? Happy, sad, thinking. Right, you should have done that by now. Now, under the happy space, write things that make you happy. For example, I have sunshine, hugs, teaching. You can add more than 3, it could be 4, 5, 10. Just scribble away. Expressing what brings you joy. In what's the word I'm looking for? In the spirit of joining in, I shall add some words to my list. So I've got sunshine. What did I do today? I played basketball. Basketball makes me happy. I'm going to take this down. Basketball makes me happy. Rapping. I was rapping, and rapping makes me happy. Sharing. Sharing makes me happy. What else makes me happy? Hip hop. Although it's kind of similar to rapping, but I'm going to put hip hop as I am referring to the whole of hip hop culture. Improv comedy has been making me happy recently. So you may guess where this is going. Under the sad smiley, you write things that make us sad. I have written fascism, racism, and fear. What else makes me sad and or elicits negative emotions? Judgment. Just talking to a friend about judgment earlier. Interruptions. I don't like when people interrupt. It's part of a theme that's going on for me currently, in that I really value therapy and I value ceremony, and I realise that the reason that I value therapy and ceremony is because talking to people about our emotions without fear of judgment is healing. And in both therapy and ceremony, you have a social contract. In therapy, an explicit contract, but in ceremony, a social contract where you can express yourself without judgment. Not in every ceremony, but it's a common theme of ceremonies that there is an opportunity to express yourself wholeheartedly without interruption or judgment. And I think that's a lesson and a blessing that we need to normalize more in Western society. Part of my petition that I wrote was about reforming mental health, and although I didn't explicitly say so in the petition, personally I believe some of that includes creating or recreating a shamanic culture in this country, because all our witches were murdered by the patriarchy. A lot of Celtic wisdom was lost, and a lot of goddess wisdom was lost, and I personally believe part of that is the importance of ceremony, because every tribal culture has ceremony, and nearly every tribal culture has initiation ceremonies and coming of age ceremonies, and that's generally lost in Western society. That, my ladies and gentlemen, is called a tangent. But yeah, it'll be worthwhile for my podcast, and I'll probably keep it in the workshop video too. So that's the moody one. So I've got fascism, racism, fear, and I've added judgment and interruptions. I'm going to add ceremony to my happy list and expression, because I don't explicitly like therapy, I explicitly like talking and being listened to more specifically. Now, this is the interesting one, the third one, the thinking smiley. Under your third column, we're going to write things that have been on your mind recently. Now that might be, under normal circumstances, difficult to pick out. But hopefully, now that your brain was initially opened by writing about things that make you happy, which is generally quite easy, and things that make you sad, which is more emotionally taxing, but actually generally quite easy too, because most of us are dying to express the things that have elicited negative emotions, and we don't get an opportunity to do that in society much. And under this one, things that have been on your mind recently. Now, when I did this the other day with my friend Joshua, I wrote emigration, travel, and relationships, because those are the things that have been on my mind recently. Because I'm thinking about going to Portugal, and I'm thinking about my relationships, both platonic and otherwise, in England, because I'm expecting to put some distance between me and them. So that's... What else has been on my brain recently? Social media. After watching the documentary Social Dilemma. And after, what is it now, 7 months of lockdown, and witnessing and being part of the Facebook wars of 2020, when apparently the algorithms of Facebook have been parting us into tribes of opinions, and as much as I was an activist before social media existed, I do not know to what extent my opinions have been moulded by the algorithms since. And neither do you. Now might be a good time to use that light that Louise gave me. But we'll get to that shortly. In the meanwhile, we'll just spread some more light on the situation. So, write down a list of things that you've been thinking about. Now, if I do these workshops face-to-face, when I do these workshops face-to-face, I would tell you that you do not have to share everything on your list. Some of the things on your list may be extremely personal, and I did not put say a trigger warning for the middle list, but, you know, if you have trauma, talking about things that traumatized you may, you know, bring things up. So be careful, for I am not a trained therapist, and I am aware that these, although I cannot advertise these poetry workshops as therapeutic, because I'm not a therapist, I'm aware that this process may be therapeutic and therefore may be dangerous for some. So yeah, at your own discretion what you want to share, and at your own discretion what you want to ponder. But yes, this is the point at which I would ask some of you to share. If some of you who are watching on live now have been taking part in this exercise, feel free to comment some of the things that were in your happy list. I'm going to allow you to keep your other lists to yourselves. Hopefully your happy lists aren't too embarrassing. A doobie doobie doo, a doobie doobie doo, a doobie 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 doo. And while I'm giving you opportunity to write, do you want an original KP Kev the Poet poem, or do you want me to sing you a random song? Come on. Come on. Unfortunately, from the screen I'm in, I can't see who's online or not. Ah, nice. Joshua shares with us, I'm here, I really love gemstones and macrame. Nice. Makes me happy. Glad to hear it. That will suffice. So the homework at this point would be to see each of these things in your list as potential poem or song titles. So you could write a song about sunshine. I could write a song about sunshine or basketball. I love to have fun times in the sunshine, spitting those fun rhymes. In the middle of summer, in an August, I must feel that raw rush of adrenaline while I'm playing basketball, shooting hoops, feeling cute, getting good exercise and fit like a troop. Exercise as he lugs bags of books and basketball, looking for those hugs and those new heights that I'm reaching. Oh gosh, do I like teaching and rapping. When he's spitting, he's snapping, and the stuff that he's sharing with the people who are caring, his friends. And you know that life never ends. I mean, on the three-dimensional reality it may appear to be, but time is an illusion, so that must be confusion. Hip hop, HIPHOP, we do this properly, yes you know me, Kev the Poet, and I know it. Improv, comedy, you done know that I've been expressing myself properly by inventing whole new characters to express my shadows, so that the path of the righteous man doesn't have to be so narrow. And I do love ceremony, you don't know me, I know you, and I'm sharing appreciation for Windmill and Amy for allowing me to express myself shamanically in talking circles, in ceremony, in Snuff Mills in Eastville Park, where we love to chill and eat till dark. Damn, he's good sometimes, isn't he, that Kev the Poet? Snuff Mills, Eastville Park, love to chill, eat till dark. I impressed myself. Dagnit. So yeah, that's my happy list inspired freestyle. On behalf of Joshua, I'm going to throw in them gemstones and macrame. You don't know I love them poems, and what on earth rhymes with macrame? I make the people say damn, hey. That was a reach. Oh, one of my favourite animes is Bleach. Macrame. Sometimes I could imagine myself spitting some rhymes doing macrame while I watch anime. So yes, at this point, beautiful babes. Yes, the queen, the mother, the maids. So yes, at this point, your homework would be to take your list and come back with a 16-line rhyme, 16 bars. That's 8 couplets, which is your average hip-hop verse. 8 couplets, 16 bars. And your average verse in popular music in general is 16 bars. Pop music, most of the 90% of the music on the radio will be 16 bar verse, 4 or 8 bar chorus, 16 bar verse. Most Western music works on 4 bar multiples. So yeah, that is Kev's poetry workshop in a nutshell. There are other exercises that I have, but I'll share with those with you at a later date, and you may have to pay for them. So yeah, if that was a pleasant experience, an inspirational experience, or a healing experience for you, I am going to be doing poetry workshops online regularly. I can add beats, I can add advice on recording techniques and performing techniques, and I can add that I have 30 years of writing rhymes and 20 years of performance to experience to share. So by all accounts, I am an expert, and I'm at your disposal. So feel free to use my expertise. Now, poetry is not the only thing I have spent decades studying. I've spent decades studying spirituality, various forms, specifically Eastern forms. I read the Tao Te Ching when I was 12. I was avidly reading the Bible from about 10, 11, and I got, when I was confirmed age 11, I had questions for the priest that the priest could not answer. And although for those of you who may be Christians, I also consider myself a Christian and a Taoist and a Buddhist, so I'm not entirely a heathen. My Christian views are not at odds with my pagan and or Buddhist and or Taoist, with my Eastern beliefs. I'll put them in that box. I still consider myself a Christian because I believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Saviour. However, I believe we are all Messiahs. I believe we are all the sons and daughters of God, and I believe we are all our own saviours. And I believe that was Jesus Christ's message. My perspective may differ from the church or your average churches, but yeah, I've got plenty I could say about the church and papal bulls that legitimised genocide for gold. So yeah, Eastern philosophy is something I can waffle about if you would like to discuss. And politics is something I have investigated for decades, which was why I got so upset when people spoke to me as if I was a gullible fool for questioning peer-reviewed science when peer-reviewed science happens to support the fascist demands, or I don't know. To call them fascist is overstating it. But the diet fascist demands of our government. So yeah, politics is something I can rant about too, but I'd rather talk about spirituality. Oh. So if, unless any of you have any questions, I'm gonna throw in my wild card. Do any of you have any specific questions? Because if you don't, it's gonna be story time. Also considering leading a guided meditation. Oh, just on time. That is my evening meditation alarm, because on a 7 o'clock every day, me and a Facebook chat group that I started meditate a synchronized meditation at 11:11, 7 p.m. and 22:22. So I was considering leading a guided meditation at 7, but yeah. Yes. He is just saying flower of life because he saw the flower of life. I don't think Joshua was actually asking me to talk about the flower of life, although I can waffle about it briefly. Found all over the world, in all... Whew! Taran turns up with a entertaining question. Could you condense dualism into a modern narrative parable? I think I can. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it immediately, but I feel like yeah, feel like inspiration's coming. Yin and yang. Yes, I can. Let's make sure I get this specific. So, a modern narrative parable. Yes, I definitely can. Dualism. Yin and yang. Push and pull. Light and dark. The sword and the shield. The crucible. The pestle and the mortar. Positive and negative. You see, the ultimate forms of yin and yang is not positive and negative, because positive and negative are subjective illusions. Anything that you perceive to be positive could be negative in other situations, and or also have negative, also have positive sides to it and negative sides to it. For example, death. So I shall tell you the story of Lord Gemma, and then I shall relate it to Indigo Shinobi and the Pink Ninja. For the true nature of duality is not positive and negative, but the void and the infinite. And that is the crux of 0-point energy. There is infinite energy in the space within molecules. Yin and yang. In a story known as Ninja Scroll, there is a tale of a villain called Lord Gemma. Lord Gemma was your typical villain, selfish and violent. He wanted gold and he murdered to get it. He was a typical tyrant. He worked with gold and arms like our tyrants and politicians do today. And to cut a long story short, which you can get the details of by watching the anime movie Ninja Scroll, Lord Gemma was caught in a mortal battle with his enemy Jubei Kibagami, the hero of that story. And Jubei Kibagami, Lord Gemma was I hasten to add, he was a magician and a demon who, if you cut off his arm, he could just put it back on again and it would be fine. And even if you cut off his head, his body could put it back on again. So he was, to all intents and purposes, immortal and a very difficult opponent to defeat. However, within his epic sword fight with Jubei Kibagami on the burning ship full of gold, the gold began to melt, and as the ship sank, a wave of molten gold covered Lord Gemma, and Lord Gemma was covered in molten gold and sunk to the bottom of the ocean. And that is the end of the Ninja Scroll story. However, positive and negative dualism. Lord Gemma, trapped in gold for its seemingly eternity, was the void, an empty shell who could do nothing but think. One of the Taoist principles is the principle of the empty bowl. The empty bowl has nothing in it. However, having nothing in it means that it has infinite potential. And that is what Lord Gemma was. The Tao Te Ching, chapter 11. 30 spokes unite at a hub. It's the emptiness there that makes the wheel usable. Shape clay to make a bowl. It's the empty space inside that makes the bowl usable. Cut out doors and windows. Their emptiness makes the room usable. Thus, the ways a thing exists make it have benefit. The ways it doesn't exist make it usable. So Lord Gemma, at the bottom of the ocean, had nothing to do but meditate, think, and contemplate the nature of reality. And by meditating at the bottom of the ocean and contemplating the nature of reality, he transmuted his negative karma and changed from an evil villain to an enlightened being, as is all one can do when one is trapped at the bottom of the ocean in a golden statue shell. Not only did he become enlightened, he became transcendent. His mind was no longer trapped by his body, and his body was no longer a prison His mind could travel time and space, and he began to commune with the dead Longshanks of the WAV files and Drogus Wave, and he began to commune with the dead Sufi poets, and he began to commune with souls who had not yet been born yet. Eventually, the ocean eroded the gold armor, and centuries later, Lord Gemma would walk upon the shore to discover a modern world. And that is where I begin my Gold Samurai EP. And I tell the tale of Lord Gemma in Oidus Osiris, the Gold Mecha Samurai EP. And you can learn more about the dualism in the narrative continues there. So just put the link to that in the comments. You can find out what happens to Lord Gemma next as he continues to channel Sufi poets and Kev the poet in the distant future. Any more questions, or is Kev's narrative parable of dualism suffice? Right, before we go, I'd like to tell you a little story about this here picture. We have a dystopian city with graffiti on the wall that says, "The commune is real." And over here we have a utopian community in the woods with a purple pyramid, which I am envision in lucid dreams. It's a place I try and meet some of my co-lucid dreamers. Place with 5 purple pyramids, if you're curious. And it's become part of the comic book, which is what you see behind me. Comic book that I've drawn. And that there is both part of the comic book and my vision board, because I want to manifest a purple community in the woods. So yeah, in my story, which is set in the distant future, most of society lives in this dystopian city, and the utopian village is a rumour, hence graffiti that says the commune is real. And in the story there's also a fairy realm, and in the fairy realm a fairy princess sees a hero, the poet, writing his poems and being cosmic in the city through her magic balls, crystal ball. Her father, the king of the fairies, doesn't want his daughter to visit the land of man, because that's how he lost his wife, the queen of the fairies, who is roaming the earth realm and has been for who knows centuries or millennia. She ignores his warnings. She goes through a portal that's in the woods, travels to the city, meets the poet. They have cosmic times. I don't want to give away too much of what happens, but I'm going to give away the crux of the background of my story. Eventually there's an altercation. She runs away. He follows her to the woods. She goes through a portal. He doesn't see her go through the portal because she's faster than him, but he does end up in the woods where the portal is, which is a stone circle, and that's where he meets the city boy, meets the hippies living in the commune in the village, and that's where the story begins. And then eventually the people in the commune in the village who are fully aware of magic, and that's where the wizards and witches and people who frequently commune with the fairy realm live. They have an altercation with the people who run the city. People who run the city actually know about them. Only the people who run it. They know about the commune and they keep it a secret because they don't want the people in the city to realise that there are other ways to live. So yeah, commune's inspired by rainbow gatherings. The dystopian city is inspired by the direction that Western society appears to be going in. The poet is obviously inspired by me. And the conflict between the two is a parable for humanity. That is 5D communal sustainable living, and that is capitalism. And that is the basics of my story, my comic book stroke children's book that I'm working on. But I'd like somebody to help me draw it. I will continue to draw it if nobody else will. I will take that as a sign that the universe wants me to do the art, and I need to step up and be brave about it. But if someone is looking for a project that involves drawing wizards, drawing wizards fighting with riot police and fairies in the fairy realm. I know some of you like drawing fairies, I know some of you like drawing wizards, and I know some of you like drawing gangster hip-hop scenes. So yeah, I'm still up for collaborating with artists. A children's book is less daunting than a comic book because a comic book needs pictures on every page, like for every scene, whereas a children's book can be mainly text, and you could just do a few pictures for a bit of it. But yeah, I'd like to. That's another thing I'm sharing with the congregation, is the basics of my story, and a call out for assistance. Right, I think that's me done for now. I'm gonna edit that and make it part of my podcast, and edit that and make it part of my online workshops. You have till this Sunday to continue getting free poetry workshops from Kev, and then they'll be costing money. You can either pay a monthly for a set number of workshops per month, or just pay me individually per workshop. But yeah, you can pay monthly via my Patreon page, which I'm going to be focusing on soon. Soon all my essays and ranting will be via Patreon, and I'll be spending less time on Facebook because Facebook algorithms are being used to manipulate us. Am I going to do a guided meditation? Not today. But I do intend to do guided meditations in character as Pinkja the Pink Ninja and as standard Kev the Poet, which will all be available via my Patreon page. I hope you are well and happy. I hope that was entertaining for you. And if you have any more questions, feel free to send me messages in between lives. Om Bhuvasvaha Tat Savita Vareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavita Vareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavita Vareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavita Vareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavita Vareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om.
Through the lights, cameras in action. Through the lights, cameras in action. Through the lights, cameras in action. Glamour, glitters, and gold.
Domination, baby. That I know that everybody want to hear, because I know I've been waiting to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
F the BS. Forget the belief system.